The massive alien ship moved slowly through the dark space around Earth's moon. Its metal hull gleamed under the distant sun's light, and strange symbols glowed along its sides. Inside the ship, Ambassador Zexthor stood before a large window, looking down at the blue and green planet below. "So this is Earth," he said to his assistant, a smaller alien with 4 arms. "It looks peaceful enough." The assistant nodded quickly. "Yes, Ambassador. Our scouts say the humans have only basic technology. They should be easy to control." Zexthor smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. His people, the Veltari, had conquered dozens of worlds. Each time was the same. They would arrive, make contact, study the local species, and then decide how best to use them. Some species became workers. Others became food. A few lucky ones became pets. "Have they responded to our message?" Zexthor asked. "Yes, sir. A human ship is coming to meet us. They say they want to welcome us to their solar system." Zexthor laughed. "Welcome us? How strange. Most species either run away or attack us when we arrive." On the bridge of the human ship, Liberty Dawn, Captain Jake Morrison checked his uniform one more time. This was the most important day in human history. First contact with an alien species. He had trained for this moment his whole life. But now that it was here, his hands were shaking just a little. "Captain, we're getting close to the alien vessel," said Lieutenant Amy Davis from her station. "They're much bigger than us," Jake nodded. The alien ship was 10 times the size of Liberty Dawn. But size didn't always matter. What mattered was making a good first impression. "Open a communication channel," Jake ordered. "Channel open, sir." Jake took a deep breath. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earthship Liberty Dawn. Welcome to our solar system. We come in peace and friendship." The reply came quickly. The alien's voice was deep and rough, but the translation system worked perfectly. "I am Ambassador Zexthor of the Veltari Empire. We accept your welcome, human." "We would be honored to have you visit our planet," Jake said. "Our leaders are eager to meet you and learn about your people." There was a pause. Then Zexthor said, "Very well. We will come to your world." 2 hours later, the alien shuttle landed at the United Nations building in New York. Crowds of people gathered behind safety barriers, all trying to get a look at humanity's first alien visitors. News cameras from around the world recorded every moment. Jake stood with Director Lisa Kane, the head of Earth's newly formed Alien Relations Department. Lisa was a small woman with gray hair and kind eyes. She had spent years studying different cultures on Earth, preparing for this exact moment. "Remember," Lisa whispered to Jake, "be friendly but respectful. We don't know their customs yet." Et demain, alien shuttle door opened with a soft hiss. Ambassador Zexthor stepped out first. He was tall, maybe 7 feet, with dark purple skin and yellow eyes. He wore a long robe covered in metal decorations. Behind him came 5 other aliens, all carrying strange devices that looked like weapons. Jake stepped forward and bowed slightly. "Ambassador Zexthor, welcome to Earth. I am Captain Morrison, and this is Director Kane." Zexthor looked around at the crowds, the cameras, and the human officials. His yellow eyes seemed to take in everything. "Your species seems very excited by our arrival." "We are," Lisa said with a warm smile. "This is a historic day for both our peoples. We hope this is the beginning of a long friendship." "Friendship." Zexthor repeated the word slowly, as if it was strange to him. "Yes, perhaps." Over the next few days, the humans showed the aliens everything. They toured hospitals where human doctors saved lives. They visited schools where children learned about science and art. They saw farms where humans grew food, and factories where they built machines. The aliens seemed most interested in human military bases. Commander Rick Barnes, a friendly man, with gray hair and a constant smile, gave them a tour of several facilities. "This is our main defense center," Rick said as they walked through a building full of computers and screens. "We use it mostly to track space debris and help with rescue missions." Zexthor looked at the humans working at their stations. "These are your warriors?" Rick laughed. "Warriors? No, no. These are just regular people doing their jobs. We don't really have warriors anymore. We prefer to solve problems by talking. But surely you have weapons, one of the other aliens said. Ships for fighting? Well, yes, Rick admitted. But we mainly use them to push dangerous asteroids away from Earth or to help people in emergencies. We haven't had a real war in decades. The aliens looked at each other. Zexthor made some notes on a small device. That evening, the humans held a huge dinner party for their guests. People from every country on Earth came to meet the aliens. There was music, dancing, and food from dozens of different cultures. President Alan Cooper stood up to make a speech. Today marks a new chapter in human history, he said. We welcome our new friends from the stars. We offer them our friendship, our knowledge, and our help. We hope to learn from them and grow together as intelligent species. Everyone clapped and cheered. The aliens watched silently. Later that night, in their private quarters, the Veltari discussed what they had seen. They are weak, said one alien. No weapons, no warriors, no defenses. They trust too easily, said another. They showed us everything. Their cities, their technology, even their military bases. Zexthor nodded slowly. Yes, they are like children, innocent and helpless. Their planet has good resources and their people could be useful workers. Should we contact the fleet? Asked his assistant. Not yet, Zexthor said. Let us learn more first. But yes, I think Earth will make a fine addition to our empire. The aliens went to sleep, already planning how they would conquer humanity. They had seen nothing to fear from these peaceful, trusting creatures. But they had not seen everything. And some things the humans preferred to keep hidden. 6 months had passed since the aliens first came to Earth. During that time, more Veltari ships had arrived. They said they were explorers and traders, but Ambassador Zexthor had been busy sending secret messages back to his homeworld. Message was simple. Earth was ready for conquest. Admiral Kreltos received the message while sitting in his command chair aboard the massive warship Dark Thunder. Around him, dozens of smaller warships floated in space, waiting for orders. This was the Veltari Third Fleet, and they specialized in taking over new worlds. How many humans are there? Admiral Kreltos asked his intelligence officer. About 8 billion on their homeworld, sir. Maybe another million spread across their small colonies. And their defenses? Weak, sir. They have some space stations and patrol ships, but nothing that could stop us. Their weapons are primitive. Admiral Kreltos smiled. This would be easy. Set course for human space. It's time to bring them into our empire. The Veltari fleet moved through space toward Earth's solar system. They took their time, stopping at human colonies along the way. Each time the same thing happened. The humans would try to talk, ask questions, and offer help. Then the Veltari would take over their stations and cities. The first colony to fall was New Boston, a mining station with 5,000 people. When the Veltari ships appeared, the colony's leader, Mayor Pat Williams, sent a message asking if they needed help. This is Mayor Williams of New Boston Colony. Welcome to our system. Do you need fuel or supplies? Admiral Kreltos answered personally. This colony now belongs to the Veltari Empire. Surrender immediately or be destroyed. There was a long silence. Then Mayor Williams spoke again, his voice confused and hurt. I don't understand. Ambassador Zexthor said our peoples were friends. Why are you doing this? Because we can, the Admiral replied. You have 1 hour to surrender. The humans of New Boston didn't fight. They couldn't fight. Their mining ships had no weapons, and their security force had only 20 people with small guns. Within an hour, Veltari soldiers were walking through the colony, marking humans for work assignments. The same thing happened at Riverside Station, then at Port Hope, then at New Kenya Colony. Each time the humans seemed shocked and confused. They would send messages asking why, begging for explanations, offering to talk. But they never fought back. News of the attacks reached Earth quickly. President Alan Cooper called an emergency meeting with his advisors. The room was full of worried faces as reports came in from across human space. 17 colonies have been taken, said Secretary of Defense Linda Roberts. The aliens aren't killing people, but they're taking control of everything. They're using our people as workers. Have any of our colonies fought back? Asked the president. No, sir. Most of them can't fight. They're scientists, miners, farmers. They have no weapons and no training. President Cooper looked tired and sad. What about our Space Defense Force? Commander Rick Barnes, still wearing his friendly smile, shook his head. Our ships are rescue vessels, sir. They're not built for fighting. If we send them against those alien warships, they'll be destroyed. So what do? We evacuate, said Dr. Nina Torres, head of the Colonial Administration. We bring our people home before more of them get hurt. That evening, President Cooper spoke to the world. His speech was broadcast to every human colony and ship in space. He looked older than he had 6 months ago, and his voice was heavy with sadness. My fellow humans, he began. Today we learned that the friends we trusted have betrayed us. The Veltari are not explorers or traders. They are conquerors, and they have taken many of our colonies. He paused, rubbing his eyes. I am ordering the immediate evacuation of all human colonies in contested space. We will not send our people to die in hopeless battles. Every life is precious, and we will not waste them. Across human space, the great evacuation began. Transport. Ships that usually carried supplies now carried families. Mining ships became refugee vessels. Even cruise liners were pressed into service to bring people home. Captain Jake Morrison found himself commanding not a diplomatic vessel, but a rescue fleet. His ship Liberty Dawn led a group of 20 transports toward the outer colonies. When they reached New Frontier, they found Veltari warships already in orbit. Veltari vessels, this is Captain Morrison, Jake said over the radio. We're here to evacuate civilians. We request safe passage. The alien reply was harsh. You have no authority here, human. This system belongs to us now. Please, Jake said. We just want to take the families and children to safety. We're not here to fight. The Veltari commander thought for a moment. You may take your people, but any ship that approaches our stations will be destroyed. Jake agreed. Over the next 6 hours, transport after transport filled with frightened colonists. Children cried as they left their homes. Adults wept as they abandoned everything they had built. But the humans didn't fight. They just left. The same scene played out across dozens of systems. Human ships would arrive, ask permission to evacuate, and leave peacefully when the aliens said yes. Sometimes the Veltari would fire warning shots, but the human ships would just raise their shields and continue rescuing people. Back on Earth, Dr. Torres worked day and night setting up refugee camps. Millions of displaced humans needed homes, food, and hope. The camps were crowded but organized. People helped each other, shared what they had, and tried to stay strong. How many more are coming? Asked her assistant, Jerry Nash. At least 2 million more, Dr. Torres replied. Maybe 3 million. Where will we put them all? We'll find room, she said firmly. We always do. The news broadcasts showed the same images every day. Human ships fleeing from alien warships, families carrying suitcases and crying children, empty colonies with alien flags flying over them. Other alien species watched these broadcasts with interest. Some felt sorry for the humans. Others began to worry that the Veltari might come for them next. But most thought the same thing the Veltari did. Humans were weak. In the Galactic Council chambers, representatives from dozens of species discussed the human situation. Perhaps we should offer them protection, suggested the ambassador from Kepler Prime. Why? Asked the representative from the Crystal Worlds. They won't even fight for themselves. If they're too weak to survive, that's nature's way. Ambassador Zexthor, now back with his own people, watched the evacuation with satisfaction. See how they run? He told Admiral Kreltos. They're like frightened children. Soon we'll have their homeworld too. But not everyone was watching the refugees. Some were watching the evacuation ships themselves. Those ships moved with surprising skill through dangerous space. Their shields held up against alien weapons better than expected, and their crews worked with an efficiency that suggested training most people didn't see. On Earth, in a room few people knew existed, General Scott Hayes watched the reports with different eyes. He had been quiet during the public meetings, letting others make the speeches and evacuation plans. But now he was busy with other work. "How many have we brought home?" he asked his aide. "Almost all of them, sir. The evacuation is going better than expected." "Good," General Hayes said quietly. "Make sure every ship makes it back safely. We're going to need every person." "For what, sir?" General Hayes looked at the map showing Veltari positions throughout human space. "For what comes next." Admiral Kreltos stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at the star map before him. Red dots showed all the human colonies his fleet had taken. There were 37 of them now. Each conquest had been easier than the last. "Sir," his communications officer called out, "we're receiving a message from the human colony at New Haven." "What do they want?" the admiral asked, not really caring. "They're asking for more time to evacuate, sir. They say they have sick people who can't be moved quickly." Admiral Kreltos laughed. "More time? We've given them 3 days already. Tell them they have 6 more hours. Then we take the colony whether they're gone or not." New Haven was different from the other colonies. It wasn't just a mining station or farming world. It was home to 3 million humans, including families who had lived there for generations. The colony also had a large medical center where human doctors worked to cure diseases that affected many species across the galaxy. Dr. Helen Price, the colony's chief administrator, received the admiral's message with growing fear. 6 hours wasn't enough time. They still had 500,000 people waiting for transport ships, including thousands of patients in the medical center. "We need more ships," she told her assistant, Mark Johnson. "Can Earth send more rescue vessels?" "They're all being used at other colonies," Mark replied. "The evacuation fleet is spread too thin." Dr. Price made the hardest decision of her life. She sent a message to Earth's government. "We cannot evacuate everyone in time. Request immediate assistance. Repeat, we need help now." On Earth, President Cooper received the message during another emergency meeting. The room fell silent as he read it aloud. 3 million people, whispered Secretary Roberts. "We can't just abandon them." "What are our options?" asked the president. Commander Barnes, still smiling his gentle smile, shook his head. "We don't have any military ships that could fight the Veltari fleet. If we send our rescue ships, they'll be destroyed." "Then what do we do?" Dr. Torres asked, her voice breaking. "Let 3 million people become slaves?" Before anyone could answer, the door opened. A man walked in that most of them had never seen before. He was tall, with gray hair and cold blue eyes. He wore a simple military uniform with no decorations, but something about him made everyone in the room stop talking. "General Hayes," President Cooper said quietly. "I didn't know you were coming." General Scott Hayes had been in charge of Earth's military for 10 years, but he rarely appeared at public meetings. Most people didn't even know his name. He preferred to work in the shadows, planning for threats that others couldn't see. "Mr. President," General Hayes said, his voice calm and steady, "I need to speak with the Veltari Admiral directly." "You want to negotiate?" asked Commander Barnes. "No," General Hayes replied. "I want to give him a warning." Within minutes, a communication channel was opened to Admiral Kreltos. The alien appeared on the screen, his yellow eyes showing amusement when he saw the human general. "And who are you, human?" Admiral Kreltos asked. "I am General Scott Hayes, commander of Earth's military forces. I'm calling about New Haven Colony." John. Admiral laughed. "Have you come to surrender your planet to save your colony?" "How touching." General Hayes didn't smile. His voice remained completely calm. "I'm calling to give you one chance to withdraw from New Haven peacefully." "You're giving me a chance?" The Admiral's laughter grew louder. "You have no weapons, no warships, nothing that could threaten us. What makes you think you can give me orders?" "Because," General Hayes said quietly, "you have crossed a line. Every other colony you took, we let you have. We evacuated our people and walked away. But New Haven is different." "How is it different?" It has 3 million civilians, including children and sick people who cannot be moved. If you attack that colony, you will be targeting innocents who cannot defend themselves. Admiral Kreltos waved a hand dismissively. All humans are the same to me. Weak creatures fit only for labor. General Hayes was quiet for several seconds. When he spoke again, something in his voice had changed. It was still calm, but now it carried a weight that made everyone listening feel cold. Admiral Kreltos, I am going to say this once. Withdraw your forces from New Haven immediately, or you will face the consequences. What consequences? The Admiral sneered. Your rescue. Ships, your mining vessels? You have shown us everything you have, human. You have nothing that can hurt us. General Hayes looked directly into the camera. You have seen what we chose to show you. You have seen our desire for peace, our willingness to talk, our preference for avoiding conflict. What you have not seen is what happens when peaceful people are pushed too far. The Admiral started to reply, but General Hayes cut him off. You have exactly 1 hour to begin withdrawing from New Haven. If you fire one shot at that colony, if you harm one civilian, you will discover why humans survived as the dominant species on a world where everything tried to kill them. The communication ended. Admiral Kreltos stared at the blank screen, then turned to his officers. Did that human just threaten me? He asked. I believe so, sir, his aide replied nervously. Impossible. Humans are weak. We've seen their ships, their weapons. They have nothing that could challenge us. But even as he said it, Admiral Kreltos felt a small doubt creeping into his mind. Something about the human general's voice, his complete confidence, bothered him. Sir, his sensor officer called out. I'm detecting new ships approaching New Haven. Human evacuation vessels? No, sir. These are different. The computer doesn't recognize their design. Admiral Kreltos looked at his screens. 3 ships were approaching from deep space. They were smaller than his warships, but their design was sleek and predatory. They moved with a grace that suggested advanced technology. Are they armed? He asked. I can't tell, sir. They're not showing up properly on our sensors. There's some kind of interference. One of the mysterious ships sent a message. Captain Jake Morrison's voice came over the communication system, but he sounded different than before. Gone was the friendly diplomatic tone. Now his voice was hard and professional. Veltari Fleet, this is Captain Morrison of the Liberty Dawn. You are ordered to withdraw from New Haven immediately. Admiral Kreltos laughed, but it sounded forced. Captain Morrison, the diplomat? You have 3 small ships against my entire fleet. Are you insane? Admiral, Captain Morrison replied. You've spent months watching us evacuate colonies and run away. You think you know everything about humans. You're about to learn how wrong you are. Suddenly, the 3 human ships changed. Weapon ports opened along their hulls, revealing guns that glowed with strange energy. Their hulls shifted color, becoming harder to see against the stars. Most disturbing of all, dozens of smaller fighter craft began emerging from what had looked like empty space. Admiral Kreltos stared in shock. Where did those fighters come from? Cloaking technology, his sensor officer whispered. Sir, there are more ships out there, many more. Our sensors are being jammed. The Admiral's hand shook as he realized the truth. The humans had been hiding their real military all along. Everything they had shown the Veltari had been a lie. The rescue ships, the mining vessels, the peaceful colonies. It had all been a mask covering something much more dangerous. General Hayes's voice came over the communication channel one more time. Admiral Kreltos, your hour is up. You chose to stay. Now you face the consequences. All around the Veltari fleet, space began to shimmer as more human warships became visible. Ships that were sleek, fast, and armed with weapons the Admiral had never seen before. Ships that had been waiting, watching, planning. The humans had never been weak. They had been patient. The battle for New Haven began at exactly 1432 Earth Standard Time. Admiral Kreltos, still believing his fleet could crush the humans, gave the order to attack. His mistake became clear within the first 30 seconds. The human ships moved, like nothing the Veltari had ever seen. They twisted and turned through space as if the laws of physics didn't apply to them. Their weapons fired beams of pure energy that cut through Veltari's shields like paper. Worst of all, more human ships kept appearing from nowhere. "How many ships do they have?" Admiral Kreltos shouted at his sensor officer. "I don't know, sir. Our computers can't count them all. They keep vanishing and reappearing." Captain Jake. Morrison commanded the Liberty Dawn with skills he had never shown before. His ship danced between enemy fire while his weapons targeted Veltari engines and weapon systems. He wasn't trying to destroy the alien ships completely, just disable them. "Target their propulsion systems," Jake ordered his crew. "I want them, alive but unable to run." Lieutenant Amy Davis, now revealed as a highly trained weapons officer, fired with deadly precision. "Direct hit on the enemy flagship's engines, Captain. They're dead in space." The battle lasted only 20 minutes. When it was over, half the Veltari fleet was floating helplessly in space. The other half had surrendered. Not a single alien ship had been destroyed, and no alien lives had been lost. But their military power was completely broken. Across human space, similar battles were taking place. The ships that had been evacuating refugees suddenly revealed hidden weapons and began attacking Veltari forces. Mining vessels became assault ships. Transport ships became troop carriers. Even the innocent-looking space stations opened up to reveal massive defense systems. Colonel Beth Martinez led the first ground assault on New Haven's surface. Her soldiers moved through the colony with a precision that terrified the Veltari occupiers. They wore black armor that seemed to bend light around it, making them hard to see. Their weapons were silent, but deadly effective. "Surrender and you will not be harmed," Colonel Martinez announced through speakers on her armor. "Resist and you will be stopped." Most of the Veltari soldiers threw down their weapons immediately. They had been told humans were weak and helpless. These armored figures moving through their positions like ghosts were nothing like what they expected. The few aliens who tried to fight back were quickly overwhelmed. The human soldiers used weapons that fired bolts of energy instead of bullets. The bolts didn't kill, but they put the aliens to sleep instantly. Within 2 hours, every Veltari soldier on New Haven had been captured. Dr. Nina Torres, who everyone thought was just a gentle administrator, revealed herself as the head of human intelligence operations. From a command center hidden beneath New York, she coordinated information warfare across the galaxy. "Jam all Veltari communications," she ordered her team. "I want their fleets unable to talk to each other or their homeworld." "Yes, ma'am," replied her assistant Tony Clark. "Should we also release the evidence files?" "Do it," Dr. Torres said. "Let everyone see what the Veltari have been doing. 2 innocent species." Within hours, every news network in the galaxy was broadcasting evidence of Veltari war crimes. Videos showed aliens destroying peaceful colonies, enslaving entire populations, and treating other species like animals. The broadcasts reached every world in the Galactic Council. The humans had been recording everything, waiting for the right moment to reveal the truth about their enemies. Admiral Kreltos found himself a prisoner aboard his own flagship. The ship's systems had been taken over by human computer programs that he couldn't understand. His crew was locked in their quarters, and human soldiers in black armor guarded every corridor. Captain Morrison came aboard to speak with him personally. The friendly diplomat was gone, replaced by a military officer who moved with the confidence of someone who had never lost a battle. "Admiral," Captain Morrison said, sitting down across from the alien prisoner, "we need to talk." "You lied to us," Admiral Kreltos said, his voice full of anger and fear. "You pretended to be weak." "We didn't lie," Morrison replied calmly. "We told you we preferred peace. We told you we liked to solve problems by talking. Both of those things are true. But you had weapons, ships, soldiers. Of course we did. Peace isn't the absence of strength, Admiral. Peace is what happens when people strong enough to fight choose not to." Admiral Kreltos stared at the human. "Why? Why didn't you fight us from the beginning?" Morrison was quiet for a moment. "Because we hoped you would choose differently. We gave you chance after chance to be our friends instead of our enemies. We evacuated our colonies instead of fighting because we wanted to see if you could learn to be better. And now you've crossed the line. You threatened innocent people who couldn't defend themselves. Children, sick people, families. That's something we cannot allow. Across the galaxy, the war was ending as quickly as it had begun. Veltari fleets that had seemed invincible were surrendering or being captured. Human forces appeared in systems where no human ships had been seen before, moving with a coordination that suggested years of planning. General Hayes spoke to his officers from the secret command center that had been hidden beneath the mountains of Colorado. The room was filled with screens showing battles across dozens of star systems. "Status report," he ordered. "Veltari 3rd Fleet has surrendered," reported Colonel Sarah Kim. "4th Fleet is requesting terms. 5th Fleet is trying to retreat, but our ships are faster." "What about their homeworlds?" "We're not attacking civilian targets, sir, just military installations and government buildings. Resistance is minimal." General Hayes nodded. "Good. Remember, we're liberators, not conquerors. Protect the innocent, capture the guilty, and show mercy to those who surrender." The truth was finally revealed to the galaxy. Humans had never been weak. Their evacuation ships had been warships in disguise. Their mining equipment had been military technology. Their peaceful colonies had been forward observation posts, watching enemy movements and preparing for the day when fighting became necessary. Even their diplomats had been gathering intelligence. Ambassador Zexthor realized that every human he had met during the first contact period had been studying him, learning Veltari weaknesses and planning strategies. The Galactic Council held an emergency session as reports came in from across known space. Representative after representative stood up to speak about what they were seeing. "The humans have destroyed the Veltari Empire in less than a week," announced the delegate from Kepler Prime. "Their military technology is beyond anything we've seen." "But they're not acting like conquerors," added the representative from the Crystal Worlds. "They're freeing enslaved populations and providing medical aid to wounded enemies." Ambassador Zexthor, now a prisoner of war, was brought before the council to testify. He looked broken and confused as he spoke. "We thought they were prey," he said quietly. "Weak creatures that existed to serve stronger species. We were wrong. They are predators who choose to be gentle. But when you threaten what they protect, they become something terrible and beautiful at the same time." On Earth, President Cooper addressed the human population and the galaxy beyond. His speech was broadcast to every world that could receive it. "We did not want this war," he said. "For months we hoped our enemies would choose a different path. We gave them every chance to be our friends instead of our conquerors. They chose violence against innocents, so we chose to stop them." He paused and looked directly into the camera. "Let this be a lesson to anyone who thinks peaceful people are weak people. We are gardeners, not destroyers. We tend the garden of peace and cooperation, but we are not afraid to pull the weeds when necessary." The war was over, but its effects would change the galaxy forever. Humanity had revealed itself as the most powerful military force in known space, but also as the most merciful. They had won through strength, but ruled through kindness. The age of human dominance had begun, but it would be unlike any empire the galaxy had ever seen. 3 months after the war ended, Captain Jake Morrison stood in the meeting room of Harmony Station, a neutral space station where the peace talks were being held. Across from him sat Admiral Kreltos, no longer in chains but still clearly a defeated enemy. The alien looked much older than he had during the war. His purple skin had faded, and his yellow eyes seemed tired. He had spent weeks trying to understand how his mighty empire had been crushed so completely by a species he had thought was weak. "I still don't understand," Admiral Kreltos said quietly. "Your people offered us food when we arrived. You showed us your cities, your children, your hospitals. Why would you do that if you were planning to fight us?" Jake poured 2 cups of coffee, sliding one across the table to the alien. It was a gesture he had made many times during these talks. "Because we weren't planning to fight you, Admiral. We were hoping we wouldn't have to." "But you were ready." "Yes," Jake admitted. "We were ready. Our history taught us that peace must be protected by those strong enough to defend it. We hoped you would choose friendship, but we prepared for the possibility that you wouldn't." Admiral Kreltos picked up the coffee cup with shaking hands. "Your general, Hayes. He said we would learn why humans survived on a death world. What did he mean?" Jake was quiet for a moment, looking out the window at the stars. Earth is a dangerous planet, Admiral. Everything there tries to kill you. The weather, the animals, the diseases, even the plants. For millions of years, humans had to be smart, tough, and ruthless just to survive another day. But you seem so gentle. We learned to be gentle because we learned how terrible it is to live in fear. We don't want other species to feel what we felt when we were struggling to survive. But that gentleness doesn't mean we forgot how to fight. The peace treaty they signed that day would change the galaxy forever. The Veltari Empire was broken up, its former colonies given the choice to govern themselves or join the new alliance that humans were forming. Most chose to join. President Alan Cooper stood before the Galactic Council to announce the creation of the Human Defense Coalition. Representatives from dozens of species watched as he explained humanity's vision for the future. We offer protection to any species that wants to live in peace, President Cooper said. We ask for nothing in return except that you treat others with the same respect you want for yourselves. The Kepler Prime Ambassador raised a hand. What if we don't want to join? What if we prefer to stay independent? Then you stay independent. President Cooper replied simply. We're not building an empire. We're building a neighborhood where everyone can feel safe. Director Lisa Kane, now head of the Coalition's diplomatic corps, worked tirelessly to help former enemy species adapt to their new freedom. Many Veltari colonies had never known anything but military rule. They needed to learn how to make their own decisions, elect their own leaders, and build peaceful societies. It will take time, she told her staff during a meeting on New Haven, which had been rebuilt and turned into a medical research center for the entire galaxy. Some of these people have been slaves for generations. They don't know how to be free. Dr. Nina Torres, revealed as both administrator and spy master, now ran the Coalition's intelligence services. But instead of gathering information for war, her agents worked to prevent conflicts before they started. We're getting reports of tension between the Zephyr Republic and the Mineral Worlds, Agent Kevin Brown reported during their weekly meeting. What kind of tension? Dr. Torres asked. Trade disputes. The Zephyrians think the Mineral Worlds are charging too much for rare metals. Send Ambassador Chen to mediate, Dr. Torres decided, and have our economic team look at setting up a fair trade agreement. Small problems become big wars if nobody pays attention to them. General Hayes, no longer hidden in the shadows, appeared before the Galactic Council to explain humanity's military philosophy. Many species were still afraid of human power and wanted to understand how it would be used. We believe that strength should protect, not dominate, he told the assembled representatives. Our ships patrol space not to control it, but to keep it safe. Our soldiers train not to conquer worlds, but to rescue people in danger. But what if someone attacks you again? Asked the Crystal World's representative. General Hayes smiled coldly. Then they will learn the same lesson the Veltari learned. We prefer peace, but we are very good at war. The coalition grew quickly. Species that had lived in fear of larger empires for centuries now had someone to protect them. Pirates found that their raids were met by swift human response teams. Aggressive empires discovered that their expansion plans faced organized resistance. But the most important change was in how species treated each other. The Coalition's charter required all members to solve disputes through peaceful means first. War became a last resort instead of a first choice. Ambassador Zexthor, now working as a cultural advisor to help other species understand human behavior, often found himself explaining the same thing over and over again. They are not like us, he would tell confused diplomats. Most species are either predators or prey. Humans are predators who chose to become gardeners. They have the strength to destroy, but they use it to protect and nurture instead. 5 years after the war, Dr. Torres stood in a classroom at the new Galactic Defense Academy on Luna, Earth's moon. Before her sat young beings from over 30 different species, all training to become peacekeepers for the Coalition. Today we're going to talk about the most important lesson in keeping peace, she told her students. Can anyone tell me what that is? A young Veltari raised his hand. His name was Kex, and his father had been one of Admiral Kreltos's officers. Strength without compassion becomes tyranny. Close, Dr. Torres said with a smile. Anyone else? A human student, Mary Johnson, raised her hand. Compassion without strength invites aggression. Very good. Both of those are true. But the most important lesson is this. Peace is not the absence of conflict. Peace is what happens when people strong enough to fight choose to build instead of destroy. She walked to the window that looked out over Earth. The planet below was green and blue, and beautiful, but everyone in the room knew it was also the home of the galaxy's most dangerous species. Your job as peacekeepers is not to stop all fighting, she continued. Your job is to make sure that when fights happen, they're fair fights between equals, not strong people picking on weak ones. The students listened carefully. Many of them came from species that had been victims of aggression. They understood the importance of having protectors who were strong enough to face any threat. After class, Dr. Torres walked through the gardens that surrounded the academy. They were tended by beings from dozens of different worlds, each contributing plants and knowledge from their home planets. It was a living symbol of what the galaxy could become when different species worked together. She paused at a memorial wall that listed the names of everyone who had died during the Veltari War. The list was surprisingly short. Humans had fought with such precision that very few people on either side had been killed. But each name represented someone who wouldn't see the peaceful galaxy they had helped create. Captain Morrison, now an admiral commanding the Coalition's First Fleet, joined her at the memorial. He came here often, remembering the friends and enemies who had died during those terrible but necessary few days of fighting. Do you think we did the right thing? He asked Dr. Torres. She looked out at the garden, where children from a dozen species played together while their parents watched from nearby benches. Human and alien families sat side by side, sharing food and stories and laughter. Look around, Jake, she said softly. This is what we fought for. A place where children can play without fear, where families don't have to worry about armies coming to destroy their homes. Yes, I think we did the right thing. Above them, sleek human warships patrolled the space around Earth and Luna. They were symbols of power, but also symbols of protection. Everyone in the galaxy knew that these ships and the people who commanded them would fight to defend the peace they had helped create. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Humans were peaceful, but they were far from harmless, and sometimes that combination was exactly what the universe needed.